All right, so we're a couple days removed from when free agency began, and the New York Giants has gotten a lot better. Give Joe Schoen his credit. This man has been cooking. He's been doing his part. And listen, the Giants have a lot of holes, but he added talent in certain positions that we needed to. And I got to say, I'm pretty fond of the moves that he did make. So let's go over it. There is still one domino to fall, and we know it's that quarterback position. That's going to be addressed, whether it's going to be in the draft or still through free agency. And we know who we're waiting on, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. Let's talk about the moves that were made. And the first one we're going to talk about is Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo, one of the top cornerbacks that was available through free agency. And kind of the only reason why you didn't hear about him is because of his injury. He did finish last season. He missed a lot of games, only played 7, and he broke his leg. So that was one of the pieces why Paulson Adebo didn't get nearly as high as a contract compared to other players. He is coming around $18 million annually, but that is not going to be counted towards a cap for his first year of his contract. Paulson Adebo did play for the New Orleans Saints, and that's the one thing we can't say about the New Orleans Saints. Their defense has been pretty stout. For the past couple years, they've had a pretty talented defense, and Paulson Adebo is one of the reasons why they have. Granted, he was not the CB1 on that defense. We all know they have Marshawn Lattimore, but even sometimes he would be battling injuries, and Paulson Adebo would have to step up. Adebo's been in the league since 2021, and he's racked up 10 interceptions since he's been drafted into this league. He had 3 interceptions last year. And the main things that stand out about Paulson Adebo is not only does he have the size, he's 6'1", around 220-ish, but also he has great ball skills for a corner. A joke that goes around playing football, man, if you're a corner, it's most likely you're a wide receiver without hands. Paulson Adebo has great hands, and he likes to make plays on the ball. That's the one thing that's going to stand out. If you're a fan or even wanted to have hopes for Deonte Banks always finds himself in position, but he can't make a play on the ball. Paulson Adebo is exactly the opposite. He's a great man-to-man corner, and now that's going to draw some question marks for you guys, right? Shane Bowen, he didn't run a lot of man-to-man last year, but when you think about Paulson Adebo being a man corner, are you going to see a lot of, scheme changes when it comes to the defense this upcoming year? I mean, Deonte Banks, had a better season under Wink Martindale, even though we could argue it's just he can't be a CB1. But putting him at CB2 is definitely going to help this cornerback room. Having Paulson Adebo step in, he's going to be man-to-man on some top wide receivers, especially in the NFC East. I'm excited to see that, and this is a guy that we needed to bring in. Now, there was other people that were available. I wanted to bring in a Darius Ward. I wanted to bring in, other options. But one of the key pieces for Paulson Adebo is that he's still only 25 years of age. He's still on the younger side. Darius Ward was almost 30 years old, which honestly still in the prime of your career, but at least we get to have, the early prime for Paulson Adebo. You could argue he still has his best foots ahead of him. And now granted, right, he is coming off of an injury, but I wouldn't be too concerned about it, speaking in the football sense. A lot of times when you think about the injuries that go down, you think of an ACL, you think of an Achilles, you think about those vital tendons in your legs that you can't get that explosiveness back. It struggles for you to get those things. He broke a bone in his leg. So with that being said, there's a chance that he might not have as much of an issue compared to an ACL, as much of an issue compared to an Achilles. Like, those tendons are problems because they don't break and they just form right back like a bone does. And granted, there's some more nuances when it comes to, breaking a bone. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an orthopedic, surgeon or anything. But I will say, for me, tearing my ACL, I still have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. When it comes to breaking a bone, you might not have that much of a problem. And there's even videos right now of Paulson Adebo doing backflips, doing drills already. He was definitely showcasing himself, letting everybody know that he's healthy and he's ready to play. So I'm excited to bring Paulson Adebo on this team. Definitely helps his young secondary group. And we weren't done there. We're going to talk about the next big move. And it was the next morning, Jevon Holland, an early signing. And Jevon Holland was one of the top free agents out of all positions available through free agency. Jevon Holland does play the safety position, and first off, everyone's going to jump to, man, really? Why are we bringing in Jevon Holland when we could have had Xavier McKinney? I'm not here to talk about Xavier McKinney. I'm not here to talk about contract details when it comes to that. Jevon Holland is making less per year than McKinney. I think it's $1.5 million less, but Jevon Holland also finds himself right up there with the top safeties in the league. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's the best safety. I can't convince you that he's going to be better than Xavier McKinney, but he's been a great addition to this team. He's going to be a great, middle of the field safety. I also seen there's some plays for the Dolphins, different defensive schemes, but he was getting rolled down into the box. And you could argue, man, he's not coming off of one of his best seasons this prior year. That's what a lot of Dolphins fans are letting me know and letting a couple people know. But Jevon Holland is a young safety that has some time in this league, that was a captain on that defense, that he's going to be able to make a difference for the team and also help a guy like Tyler Nubin play a little bit better. Now, Jason Pinnock did sign with the 49ers. Shout out to him. I hope he has, a way better career for the rest of his career. But overall, Jevon Holland is an upgrade at that safety position, and it helps his defense mightily. We needed a presence on the back end that will kind of shoo off a little bit of quarterbacks. I'm not saying Jevon Holland's going to stop everything, but he's definitely going to help, make a difference on the back end and ultimately help this coverage team out. I mean, we were one of the worst coverage teams this past season. And when you think about it, we just didn't have a lot of talent in that room. We had some guys that were picking off of waivers. We had some guys that were, late draft picks. Now, when you look at it, this DB group looks a lot better. And as we know, the front four needs to be the front four, right? Our front D line needs to be the ones that get home. But when you have a good back end and it all works in unison, that's what makes strong defenses, play well. And we could argue that the Giants have had a decent defense. Some Giants fans will tell you we haven't, but some common fans think that the Giants have a top defense. I'm expecting this season to be a big jump on the defensive end. And we know, once again, listen, we had some young guys out here. Now we added some talent. We added some, still prime years. Once again, Jevon Holland around 25, 24 years of age. And this defense only got a little bit younger as an average, but it also got better in the talent group. Jevon Holland was one of the top free agents for a reason, and we lock him up for a couple of years, and I'm looking to see what he's going to make an impact for on this New York Giants team. I'm looking to see a great DB showing, man. We haven't had that type of feeling in a little while. You could say when James Bradbury stepped over and Adoree Jackson first got here, we felt a little bit of a emergence of a no-fly zone, but I think we can definitely get that boosted up with these young DBs and these young corners that are out here. I'm looking to see that type of impact on the defense, man. We know the front four is going to be able to get home, hopefully, with the Dexter Lawrence, the Kayvon Thibodeau, and the Brian Burns. There's no reason why, with at least a little bit better of a defensive backfield, we should be getting home or forcing more incompletions. Let quarterbacks double clutch when they're trying to get rid of the ball. Let them think twice about trying to pass it on this unit. Jevon Holland on the backfield is going to be helping that. You're also going to have Tyler Nubin roaming everywhere. If you're asking me, I think Tyler Nubin is going to be the roamer, and I'm still excited. Once again, if you're asking me, and I'm going to have a video, prior to the season, but who's the wild card on that defense? Tyler Nubin. A step up in year 2 from Tyler Nubin would be huge. And I've gone this far without even bringing up Andrew Phillips. We know what Andrew Phillips was for us last year. You throw him in the slot. You got Deonte Banks on one side, Paulson Adebo on the other, and then Jevon Holland on the back. Listen, this DB room looks massively improved, and that should help this team far along. Now, I've talked about defense this whole time. Where's the offense? Why aren't we talking about offense? It looks like we're going to be addressing that in the draft a lot more than we have been through free agency. We did sign 2 swing tackles to help bolster the offensive line. Now, listen, these guys are not starting worthy, so I'm not going to sit here and sell you a dream. I'm not going to say these guys are going to step in. It's just if a tackle were to go down, if an offensive lineman were to go down, listen, this is automatically an upgrade because we're not seeing Josh Ezeudu out there. We're not seeing Josh Ezeudu try to play snaps at tackle, which it is their fault that they try to push it anyways. But we're not going to see those guys step in. We're going to see a couple of new guys in the group, and they should be at least a little bit better than, a Josh Ezeudu. But hopefully, we want to hope that the offensive line stays healthy. Greg Van Roten did get re-signed. It looks like he's going to be, in the mix for guard. It's definitely going to be between him and Evan Neal. That's what's looking like the guard rotation is going to be. If you haven't seen the reports, it's looking like Evan Neal is going to be tried at guard, kind of his last hoorah to see if he can make a career with the Giants. And it's looking like he's going to be competing with Greg Van Roten to be one of the starting guards on this team. He's still going to have Runyon Jr. on one side, Andrew Thomas and Illuminor at the bookend tackles. You need them to have a good year, but you need them to stay healthy. If they can stay, healthy and stay as one cohesive unit, that should be a big upgrade compared to what we have seen in the past couple seasons. So offensive line got a little bit of help. Darius Slayton is back on this team. Listen, I'm not as mad at this signing as some people are. Listen, Darius Slayton, we know he has a case of the drops from sometimes, but he is a productive wide receiver too, and he's been our wide receiver 1 for a couple of years now. Granted, should we be looking at it for his tenure? Should we be looking at it for the next coming years? I think him being a wide receiver 2, potentially a wide receiver 3 in a year, hey, I'm down for it. Bring Slayton over here. He's been productive, and we all know Malik Neighbors is a wide receiver 1, but you need a vertical threat on the other side of the ball, on the other side of the field. You're going to need that. So Darius Slayton being back on this team, people should kind of temper down a bit I think it's going to be a good value signing in a couple of years, let alone this season. Shout out to everyone who did jump on my live stream. I talked about Jevon Holland signing right when it happened. So we had 150 people in the building, y'all. Like, that's one of my top lives. So shout out to you guys if you were there. It was early in the morning at 8:30. But listen, if there's breaking news and I am free, I'm jumping on live. And we should be going live shortly in the next coming days after we get this Aaron Rodgers news. Hopefully, you know, the time is 11 o'clock in the morning on the 13th. Still have no news as of yet. And listen, Aaron Rodgers, just pick a team. Just pick a team. I'm over it. I'm kind of over it. I know the New York Giants want to draft a quarterback. And honestly, I'm kind of worried if they're going to be able to get one of the top 2 guys. But that's another video for another day. I want you guys to let me know how Joe Schoen did in free agency so far. And it's not over yet. But for the most part, a lot of the big moves did happen already. We're just going to see what this quarterback domino falls, man. I want you guys to let me know down below, man. What are your thoughts on this team so far? What are your thoughts on the improvements? And stay tuned for another video when this quarterback situation figures itself out, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.